Welcome to Light It Up, a podcast about resilient women balancing motherhood, their careers, personal lives, and all of the challenges that come along with being a superwoman. Each week, you'll be motivated to take action, to lead, inspire, transform, and empower. Now, here's your host, Dr. Aginah Mashira. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Light It Up. I am your host, Dr. Aginah Mashira. I'm so excited about this episode because we are now in season 2 of Light It Up, and it's a new year, new beginnings. And as always, I think that most of us, it's safe to say that most of us try to do things a little bit differently because we want the new year to be better than the last. And with that, I decided to bring on someone who I've known for a few years now because she's doing some amazing things. And I think that our conversation today is going to be very enlightening for many of you. I would like to welcome Khalilah Starks Adams, who is my guest today. She just recently launched a new blog, High Powered Love. And also she's going to be doing some coaching. And so we're going to talk about her new venture, High Powered Love, today, for those of you who are interested in making some changes in your life. So welcome to Light It Up, Khalilah. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So I don't like to give away too much about, my guest's background because I always like to give my guests an opportunity to share in their own words, their background. So before we really get into today's topic, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? I did mention that we go back a few years.
Yes.
I guess I'd like to preface it by saying that when we met, just the energy, the chemistry was awesome. I have my own thoughts about that. I think it's because we're both Virgos. So, and folks,
it's that grounded, energy.
So that's right. And sometimes we could be misunderstood and misrepresented, but
yeah.
So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I've had an interesting professional and personal journey at the University of Illinois. I spent about 18 years in human resources and career services. I have my master's in human resources from U of I, and spent time working at the University of Illinois in career services, and also worked for several Fortune 500 corporations in human resources. And it was through that I really developed the passion for helping people. Mm-hmm. But earlier in my career, I really helped people from a career standpoint because that was my world. In human resources, you hire people. Mm-hmm. You're part of the promotion process. So that was something that really intrigued me, that I was really excited to just help people become successful or to achieve their career goals. So in 2010, I launched my first blog, which was High Powered Professional. And that was all about reaching your career potential. Everything to do with personal development, down to how to write a great resume. I did that for a few years, did some great things. I was on the morning show in Central Illinois. I was living in Champaign. Working for the university. So that was really exciting to be on a news show. Did, different coaching and speaking opportunity, had speaking opportunities for, several organizations. So it was really exciting. Then in I'd say about 2016, maybe 2015-ish, I learned about the law of attraction. And at that point, for some reason, I was kind of fizzling out with the whole, with the professional piece, the professional success piece, where I felt like there was something more. that I should be doing. I should be writing about something, but I was like, I'm not excited to write about resumes anymore. I'm not excited to write about interviews anymore, how to interview, how to get the job. For whatever reason, I want to help people become successful, but I'm feeling like there's something else. So I took a break from writing. And it was at that time that I took a break that I learned about the law of attraction. Also, personally, I had some personal goals. One of which, the whole relationship piece of my life wasn't the best. I'm like, something's got to change. I learned about the law of attraction, and one thing that I realized is that, wow, you do have a say in what happens next in your life. There's obviously a big faith piece, but you really need to understand the laws of the universe and how your energy, how your thoughts really do contribute to what happens next in your life. So during that break from writing about the professional piece of how to be, writing about how to be successful professionally, I was studying the law of attraction and really threw myself into it because I just felt like there was more that I needed to know. And as I studied, I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so true. Like, if you think about it, why is it that, just thinking about it from a professional standpoint, how many, if you've been unemployed or you're even working and you want a new job and you're like, oh, no calls are happening, right? And then all of a sudden, when you go through the process and you get the job, then that's when all the companies come or the company that you really wanted, now they're calling. You're like, why does that happen? So it made perfect sense when I learned about the law of attraction, how your energy does really affect the people that come into your life, the circumstances, the experiences. And it just fascinated me. So I really just continued to study. I'm recently married. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
That was something great in 2020.
Yes. I had a beautiful wedding, married my best friend in 2020. And I can tell you that I used the law of attraction principles to get my energy energy in the right place to receive amazing love. And it was just like, wow, like I can use this to attract amazing love. You can use it to attract really whatever it is that you want in your life, because the reality is the law of attraction is always working. You just choose whether you want to work with it. So fast forward a few years, and 6 weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago, I was sitting back and I'm like, you know what? I know so much, and this is what everyone calls me about. Everyone calls me, from my perspective, from a law of attraction energy standpoint. I am that person for my friend circle, my family circle. And because I know so much, I've spent so many hours reading and taking courses. I mean, there's just so much that I've done. I thought to myself, you shouldn't just keep this to yourself. There are so many people that can be helped with this information. And let's face it, 2020 was it was a rough year. It was crappy. There were just so many things that happened. I'm like, you know what? Here's an opportunity to make an impact in 2021 and help whoever gravitates to this. Some people are not going to gravitate to it, and that's okay. But there are so many people that do gravitate to it that it really does make a difference. And I thought to myself, if you can make a difference in a few people's lives, because I know it's made a difference in mine, then it's worthwhile. And it just gave me an opportunity to get back to the thing that I love, which is writing, which is helping people achieve their goals. But I just felt like there was a different way that I was supposed to help people achieve their goals. And when I stopped writing with High Powered Professional, I'm like, I know that I should be writing. I know that I should be helping people, but for some reason, this is just not resonating with me. This is just not it. And it just became very clear a couple months ago that this is my path. This is what I need to be doing now. And this is what I'm here now. So a couple years ago, I stepped away from human resources. Let me back up a little bit. I stepped away from human resources because I was a bit tired. HR can be a bit emotionally taxing. It's got its good place, but when you're, working in a very people, centric field, and you're dealing with the problems of the organization. And so I took a step away from human resources, took a dive into the financial world. So I work in investments and day trading independently. But really my passion that just wakes me up every day and I'm just, oh gosh, it just keeps me going is high power love. I'm just so excited. Awesome. So thank you for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here. This is a very new journey. So I am just honored that, at this point in my journey that you would, invite me to be on your show.
Well, I have to tell you that first, and I'll just backtrack to the high powered professional. I remember reading those blogs and I was like, oh my God, I need Khalilah in my life. Because I have experience also in human resources and I know how draining that was for me. But working in a leadership role, I was just like, okay, I really need to find my passion. And I've always tried to be very intentional with everything that I do. But when I have to tell you, when you released High Power Love, I was like, okay, this is exactly what I've been asking for or needing. It's just so amazing how things, come together. Because I've been having conversations with people. So I've been divorced for 7.5 years now. And, I was also in a long-term relationship for about 5 years. And he passed away a couple of years ago. And I have to tell you, there's one thing that I can say that, people talk about experiencing like the love of your life and, and I have to say like, O came into my life at the absolute perfect time. And, but I've began to recognize even with trying to date, I had said to one of my friends, I said, I keep attracting like the same type of people.
And it's like, not coincidental. It's
no. But what's interesting, and I had someone, and I went out on a date. This was, I don't know, maybe about 1.5 years ago. And it's interesting when people ask me, well, tell me about your last relationship. And I tell them about, and how long we were in a relationship or what have you. And then when I tell them that he passed away, like the whole mood just changes and they don't know what to say. And I've had people ask me, well, are you sure that you're ready to move on or you're ready to date? And to be completely transparent, it was just on Friday. I was doing my morning meditation and so when I talk about like attracting the same type of people, I seem to attract people who are capable of commitment, but can't commit to me. So like, what is going on? And when I was doing my meditation, the facilitator said, think back to a point in time in your life where you felt deeply loved. And Khalilah, the tears, it was just like the floodgates opened. But what I realized is that the reason why I am attracting men who have a history of being able to commit, either they've been married before or they're, a widower, what have you, is because I'm not available emotionally, I think, to commit. So I had like this aha moment. And so I'm trying to.
Moments are wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get to that place where I know I need to work on myself. And I think that has also kind of influenced my decision to begin to look at the law of attraction, because I know it exists. I've always known that it exists. I mean, but just not really fully putting it into practice and studying it. And another aha moment was dealing with my children and with this pandemic. 10 months, I think, 11 months of being at home with 3 teenagers. And I remember telling them on March 13th of 2020, which was like the last day of school, the last day I was physically in my office. I remember saying to them, you guys are not going to go back to school for the rest of the school year. And they were like, Ma, you're just so negative. And I was like, no, I'm a realist. I'm realistic. And so even in the last...
Like, don't say that.
Right. So, and I realized that I also, for the longest of time, just as I've been reading and studying, I'm like, you know what? I do send out those negative vibrations when I am trying to prepare myself for the what ifs. Mm-hmm. So that leads me to my question. How does one actually begin to, if they're, wanting to get into that space and begin to really truly understand the law of attraction and practice it? Like, what's the first step to getting to that point of studying and then to implement it into practice?
Yeah. There are so many books out there. I mean, we're in an age of information. Mm-hmm. So if you have an interest in anything, you can find that, whether you Google it, whether you go on YouTube, it's out there. Mm-hmm. I started out there are a couple of people. One, I really love Abraham Hicks. Mm-hmm. That can be are you familiar with Abraham Hicks?
I am not.
Okay. So I love Abraham Hicks. Some people just don't resonate with Abraham Hicks, but for a lot of people that are in the law of attraction space, mm-hmm. Yes, Abraham Hicks is a great place to start. Dr. Joe Dispenza is another person that I followed, and I have watched lots of videos. I've done courses. There's so much information out there. And what's interesting is that the law of attraction is really simple. Mm-hmm. It really is just a universal law that, pretty much says like attracts like. So whatever frequency you're on, whatever frequency you're vibrating at, that's what you're drawing into your life. So if you spend a lot of time in, anger and frustration, which a lot of us do, but you don't even realize it, because as you become conditioned to feel a certain way, you don't even realize that most of the time you're stressed. Most of the time you're angry. You'll quickly get angry. You'll quickly get frustrated. We've been conditioned with blame or what have you. So it's very simple. And when I got really into like law of attraction, mm-hmm. actually Abraham Hicks mm-hmm. did this. They had a video, Abraham Hicks video. I listened to it and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this sounds like something Vince would like. I hadn't talked to him in months. And this was like actually a couple months before we started dating. Mm-hmm. I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I don't know if you know about Abraham Hicks, but I listened to this and I thought of you. It was just so, random. And he's just like, oh, I've been listening to her for 10 years. I'm like, what? So yeah, he's really like, he's been studying this stuff for way longer than I have.
Okay.
But you know what's crazy? I'll say this. I put out posts like, okay, this is one of the things I love about Facebook are the memories.
Yeah.
I put out some posts like in December mm-hmm. that was kind of crazy because we started dating in January mm-hmm. and you would have thought from my posts in December mm-hmm. that I knew what was happening,
Oh, wow.
that we were dating. And I was like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
it was just a few weeks ago, one
Mhm.
of my December, and I can't remember the post, but one of my December posts popped up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, like I was on some whole like prophetic type stuff. Like, this is crazy. Like, what? You would have thought that we were dating, that something was going on, but in December 2016,
Mhm.
I was feeling wonderful.
Mhm.
I was so happy. And I remember actually had lunch with Vince because we were good friends,
Mhm.
had lunch with him. And I remember saying to him, I feel so good. I don't know, something amazing is happening. I
Mhm.
don't know what, but I feel so good that I know something's gonna happen. I know something amazing. He's like, really? Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. So I know you got some, financial goals, and as a single parent, you're gonna be. I know you have some things you want to focus on. So he gave me some affirmations to write. Like, that's how
Oh my
we
goodness.
were like not even in this place. So I'm
Mhm.
telling him how great I feel, and he's telling me, oh, you're feeling great. That's the perfect time,
Yeah.
opportunity to manifest. And I know you got some financial goals, and with Sydney. So when you go home, you should think about this and this. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. This is great. And then like a month later, we're dating. It was just crazy.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's how it works, right?
Yeah, it really does. Like, when you feel great, great things follow. And that's law of attraction.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just feel first, then manifest.
Mhm.
That's the biggest takeaway, because whatever you're feeling, that is essentially, those are the things, however you're feeling, whatever, those are the things that you will draw into your life. So if you're feeling anger, you draw in more experiences, more people that keep you, or that match that energetic, um, level of anger.
Mhm. Okay. So tell me then, you've been involved in this for some years now,
Yeah.
and you got to the point where you decided that you wanted to share this with all of us.
Yeah.
um, with high powered love, I think you've released several blogs, which have all just been absolutely wonderful. They all speak to
Thank
me. I feel
you.
like she's writing this just for me. But I think it's something that
Thing that you could have said.
I think it's something that we need. I mean, and like you said, especially with 2020 being the year that it was. Um, and for those of us who are looking for a partner, it gives you, I think your story, I think probably for many of us who are, I call myself a hopeful romantic, it gives you some hope, but also some key steps on what, steps that you need to take to get yourself properly aligned to be able to attract that love. So, with high powered love, what's your goal with the blogs? Are there weekly blogs? Are you going to? I know we kind of talked about prior to this conversation. I think you may have shared that you're going to be doing some coaching because
Yes.
we've been asking for it. So, with the
And I'm so
blog,
honored that, people have reached out to ask. I'm like, wow, it's been amazing.
yeah.
But it lets me know I'm on the right track.
Exactly. So with the blogs are what's I know we have to, how would people first of all get access?
Mhm.
tell us, where can we find your blogs? And I think you have a subscription that we can sign up for too.
Yes, so you can go right to highpoweredlove.com. My goal is to write at least one post per week. If I'm inspired, two posts per week. Um, One thing that I can say, and I think that the reason why it's resonated with a lot of people is that I write from the heart. I think it's just really important that whatever you put out for the world is that you make it authentic. And when I'm writing, I'm writing from the heart. And I think that people can relate because, I'm like most people, I single mom, divorced, after the divorce, dated, and at some I got to maybe 39, 40, and I'm like, okay, you're doing something wrong here. Like, you can't say that it's everything falls on someone else. Like, there has to be something in you that needs to be tweaked in order to have what it is you want. And I wanted a loving relationship. I certainly wanted to marry again, and I wanted something very loving, very fulfilling. And I just decided that it was time to take a step inward. So my writing really is a reflective process where I go inward and I write. And I'm very honest. I'm very authentic as I'm writing. And I think that people can feel that and they can relate to it. So you can go, so I will be writing once a week at least. One thing though, the last couple of weeks, I took a break. One, it was the holidays. And two, I had people reaching out to me about coaching, and it just got me. I started to think, okay, so what's next? What do you really want this to be? What's the impact? What is the impact that you're really trying to make? So I took, a couple weeks to reflect, but then also to work on my plans for the future. I posted on Instagram and Facebook, like, I'm one person. So I had to decide, are you going to write? Are you going to sit, reflect, and write? Because this is, as I'm writing, it is such a reflective process that the entire process, from sitting down, writing, editing, as a creator, it takes time. Or are you going to take some time to plan out and identify what would you potentially like this thing to be? Because I think that I'm a person where I'm the type of person where I feel like you can make plans, but at the end of the day, there could be something much bigger. There could be a different, so allow yourself the opportunity for this to be bigger than what you could conceive, but what ideally would you like for this to be? So that's when I determined, I said, you know what, there's an opportunity for me to connect with people, obviously, because I'm having people reach out to me. But then I also realized that there's an opportunity for me to connect with people daily in terms of what I'm sharing with the world. So in addition to the blog posts, which are weekly, I am sharing kind of a daily words of wisdom every day on my social media pages. And you can follow me. I'm on Facebook. You can also follow me. I believe I'm at Khalilah Starks. I haven't quite figured, I need to change that, but I'm at Khalilah Starks, okay? On Instagram. I've changed my name, but technology just really isn't my thing. Like, hey, we're all gifted in some areas. Technology is just not one of them for me.
Right.
But I'm at Khalilah Starks. I believe that's my my Instagram handle. And then my Twitter handle is at Khalilah's World.
Okay.
So you can find my daily posts there, because I realize my blog posts are long, and sometimes you don't have time to read the longer posts. You got to sit back and, take that time to read. But I wanted to provide something, as kind of a short snippet. So I created these daily shares as well that people can, they can take it in and keep it moving. Yeah. So I have that. And then the coaching is coming soon. I haven't launched it yet, but I'm working on the coaching program for the people that want to connect with me on a more individual or group basis, because I'm looking at group coaching as well. So I did take a 2-week hiatus. But I will be back. Okay. I am coming back with the weekly blog post, but you can find me on social media. And then to your point, you can certainly go, as you should, subscribe so that you can get the updates. Because as I post, I will send information to subscribers, and I'm also planning some nice little goodies for my subscribers as well. So I'm in planning mode. It's just crazy for this to have launched, for High Powered Love to have launched less than a couple months ago. And it's like, oh my God, I need to take some time to just digest and figure out where this is going, because I'm getting so many opportunities. It's amazing. It's such a blessing. I'm just very thankful.
And I was going to say, I know as a Virgo with the planner, tendencies, I thought it was so cute when I believe Vince kind of threw you out there as far as getting full speed ahead too.
Yes. So I came to him probably, we'll say a Sunday. I don't know, maybe a Sunday. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start a blog, High Powered Love. And actually, there's a backstory here. He actually told me maybe 2.5 years ago. He's like, you know what? You have so much to offer in the law of attraction and energy space. And there are a lot of people that will really identify with your story. He said, you should really think about coming out with High Powered Love. And I said, okay, thanks. But because I'm like, at that point, I just felt like to go from resumes and interview skills to all of a sudden you're talking about love, that just I can appreciate, what I can appreciate the feedback and, just the vote of confidence, but he did plant a strong enough seed where I'm like, you know what, I should at least get the website, that I should at least get that URL, is it URL?
Domain.
There you go. I should at least get the domain. So I got the High Powered Love domain, and I just kind of let it sit. Cause I'm like, well, he told me the idea, it doesn't really resonate. I do know this stuff, but that's just that's such a departure from anything I've ever talked about publicly. So, so that seed had been, it was planted, and, it just all of a sudden I'll say Saturday, Sunday, something like that. I'm like, you know what? I should do. Yeah, you told me that a long time ago. So, I am the type of person that once I get an idea that I feel really good about, I just go. Yeah. So I got the website, I started writing, but the website wasn't done. I showed it to him and he's like, oh, wow, this is great. Like he's like, this is so good. I'm like, thank you. But in my mind, I had some more things that I wanted to do with the website before it went live. Well, it was already live, but before it was shared.
Right.
So my husband is a DJ. He DJs on Twitch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. DJ Vince Adams.
That's right.
Late lunch mix. Yes. So during his late lunch mix, I'm watching, and he shared my website with the community. And he says, I got to share this with you. I'm so proud of my wife, and you need to go to this website. And I'm like, oh my God, no, it's not ready. Because, as a Virgo, we are planners and we are perfectionists. And before we put anything out, we want to make sure that everything is buttoned up, everything is perfect. And I'm like, oh my God. But what was amazing is that the people in his audience, they actually went to see it, and then they came back and they're like, oh, wow, this is great. Wow, this blog is wonderful. They're like all these comments, and they're like, I've subscribed. And all of a sudden I started getting all these subscriptions, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is going on here? So then after the party, well, the cat is out of the bag. I'm thinking to myself, you might as well just go ahead and share. The reception has been positive. So I put it on Facebook shortly after his party, because I'm thinking to myself, well, I didn't think that it was ready, but obviously
it is.
it is ready. So I put it out there, and I got, over 100 subscribers within a day. It was nuts. It was crazy. And my subscribers continue to grow. So that just let me know that I was doing something good. And then, you know what? You don't necessarily need everything to be perfect. You just need to be authentic. And that's what.
You are so absolutely right about that. Because I have found too, I will mull over something over and over again, like it has to be absolutely perfect.
Yes.
But the one thing that I can say is what I get from people is that they appreciate my transparency, my authenticity, and that's what matters. And I know with your story, it definitely resonated with me because, just thinking about how you in your blog, you shared how you were telling your daughter, Sydney, you had picked out your dress and everything, and it's like, I know my children, my daughters in particular, I feel like I get love advice from a 16-year-old telling me like, Ma, like you need to date, you need a boyfriend. And they've been trying to encourage me. And they're like, don't you want to get married again? I think you're going to get married again. I'm like, I absolutely do.
Yeah.
But it's like, I was able to connect because, we're similar. You were divorced, I'm divorced, and wanting to be able to find someone who's going to love you deeply and, and a partner. So I was drawn to it instantly when I read it. And in every blog post that you've released, I was like, oh my God, it just, it really does resonate. So I think that is really the key to just making sure that you are transparent. That's how you get
transparency is scary though, because you're not just putting out the perfect parts of you.
Exactly.
You're putting out the parts that you're like, oh
yeah.
Well, you're putting out those parts that it just there's a vulnerability that comes with being transparent.
Absolutely.
And it just is what it is. You just have to be willing to be vulnerable. But I feel like part of my purpose in falling is to get up and to tell everyone that, hey, you can get up because I fell and let me tell you about it. And I'm able to get up and it's all good. So, so that transparency can be, it's a little scary because it can come with judgment. but you just have to be okay with it. And I mean, I'm not putting anything out there that's, that risque, but it's still a piece of you that you could choose to hold on to. But I feel like there's value in putting it out there because there are other people that have experienced those things. Anybody that's gone through divorce knows what you go through the divorce and then after the divorce. It's not the best thing for your self-esteem sometimes,
right?
So that's just a honest piece that I just decided to share with people. I'm like, if you're gonna put yourself out here, just be real about it. And I think people appreciate that.
Well, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for everything that's happening. I know there were some aspects of just the law of attraction that we didn't get to today, but that's okay because I'm going to put you on the spot. If I invite you to come back, would you come back to do like a follow up? I would love to have you back. And so we can delve a little bit deeper, and then also maybe by that time you'll have some more news for us, because I know great things are going to happen. It's already happening. So
absolutely. Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned this about your children. One thing that you mentioned something about your children. One thing that I want to say is your children are watching, and it's just so important. It was so important for me to model the behavior that I would want my child to model. Perfection doesn't exist, but if I could just show up as best as I could, that was just what I wanted. So I'm glad that she was a part of the conversation, and she thought I was so crazy to say that I've got this dress. I showed her the dress, and she's like, "You don't even have a boyfriend." And I remember saying, I remember sitting at my mom's kitchen table saying, "It's a minor detail." She's
minor detail.
Yeah, I was like, "That's a minor detail." And she's like, "What?" Okay, whatever. And anybody that knows my daughter, like, she has a very, very big personality. She's a Scorpio.
Say no more.
So she's a teenager, Scorpio. Yeah, that girl has some communication skills. She's got she's got it all. So I'm glad that she saw me go through that journey, because guess what she did for 2021?
Wow.
She created a manifestation book. She was working on it yesterday. It is beautiful. And she's got her affirmations. She's an artist. Okay. So it's it is beautiful. And it was such a proud mom moment that, while again, I'm not perfect at all, I look back and I'm like, yeah, you probably could have done that better, but there's no handbook to parenting, right? But I am so glad that she watched me go through this process, because when you understand your energy, when you understand your energy, that is your superpower.
Yeah.
It is absolutely your superpower. And as you learn how to tap into that, you will be amazed by the things that happen in your life. And I knew, and I still know and realize, that your children are watching. And I feel like that is just the greatest gift that I could, it's a great gift.
It is.
The greatest. Love is the greatest gift. Yeah. But that's one of the greatest gifts that I could have given her as a parent. The understanding that she does have a say in what happens next, and her emotions are everything. And we're still learning, we're still learning. We all are still learning. We're all evolving. So again, no perfection here, but just an understanding that you do have power. And it's important to learn how to tap into your own superpower. And I'm excited to see her start to scratch the surface, as I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. I'm on this journey, and I've just decided that, okay, now it's time to take people along with me on this journey, because by, daily, I'm like, okay, what's the better way to think about this? We're all evolving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you have, just to kind of hold us over until the next time you come on? Because I mean, that was really great, and I'm so excited for your daughter. It actually makes me think about my daughter Aaliyah, who always talks about, although I haven't like put it into practice, so to speak, but the one thing that she did pick up from me, was placing, so on her mirror, she has, notes to herself, like smile, you are beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
because so Aaliyah has a twin brother.
I got goosebumps. I love it.
We went through this thing. So because Aaliyah is a twin, so we get a lot of questions. Like when they were growing up, when they were younger, people didn't believe that they were twins, because you've seen pictures of my children. So my son, light skin with the red hair, Aaliyah's dark with the black hair, and people just didn't believe that they were twins. And what would happen is people would always gravitate towards my son and ask a million questions. And I would always tell her, don't worry about that, because she would say, why do they always say something to him? And I'll never forget, she was 5 years old. I was picking them up from school, and a parent said to my son, oh my God, you're just so handsome. Look at your red hair. And Aaliyah turned. So the twins are Geminis. So that's my other running joke. I have 4, 5.
Right. Oh.
Melodies around here. She turned and she said to her, so what? I'm not cute because I'm dark skinned with dark hair. So I didn't realize at 5 years old, she was beginning to internalize just the energy that she was getting from other people, always highlighting her brother.
Right. Wow.
And so I started telling her, Aaliyah, no, you are beautiful. It doesn't matter, because, I'm like, we all come in different shades in our family. You're beautiful. And so when she got to this point where she started to place different notes on her mirror, or just making sure, and she tells me all the time, she says, last year I wrote in my journal this, and she was like, oh my God, and it came to happen. See, your thoughts are powerful. So she's not necessarily attributing it to the law of attraction, but she's following and kind of modeling the behavior. So you're absolutely right. Our children are always watching. And we have to be an example for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
No problem. So do you have any last words of wisdom, advice, or anything that you'd like to share as we, go forward in 2021?
I would just say, find the perfection in your life right now. We focus so much on where we want to be, what we want to come, that we don't appreciate and see the magic in what we have right now. And like I said earlier, law of attraction is like attracts like. Whatever you're thinking about, that is what you are drawing into your experience. So if you're thinking, I want this thing, the mirror, the law of attraction mirror is, you want this thing. And that's it. Mm-hmm. So what you end up doing by not appreciating and focusing on your now, seeing the perfection in your now, you put these other things on this pedestal, and it makes it very difficult to actually grab that thing that you've put on the pedestal. So I would just say, for me, for even myself. What I'm reminding myself daily is you can have goals, you can have an idea of what you'd like to see manifest in your life, but put more of your focus on finding the beauty of what's happening now, finding the perfection of what's happening now. That car that you're looking to get rid of, once upon a time was the car that you were so excited to get.
Yeah.
You know, just start to see or to remember the blessings, how you felt about the things that you take for granted now, because the more you see the magic and the perfection in right now, that's actually your superpower. That's actually the power that will draw in more things, more magic, more things for you to appreciate.
Awesome. Awesome advice. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I am sure that the audience really enjoyed what you had to share, and I look forward to having you back on as a guest on Lite It Up.
That would be amazing.
Perfect. So, for everyone who is tuning in, whether you are tuning in via Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, or if you are tuning in on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook, make sure you like and subscribe to Lite It Up. You can listen to the podcast at aginahmuhammad.com/podcast, but also leave a review for this episode as well. Until next time, don't forget to continue to light it up and shine bright like a diamond. Thanks for joining me this week on Lite It Up. Make sure you visit my website at www.liteituppodcast.com or www.aginahmuhammad.com. You can also find me on social media using the handle @LiteItUpPodcast. If you like what you've heard, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, I'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or you can simply tell a friend about the show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for a new episode. Until next time, light it up and shine bright like a diamond.